Hey everybody, it's Jack Rita with Future Pastimes, and this is the Savage Board of Conan, and I'm here with GJ, and we're going to be talking about the Bazaar deck, and this is one of the variants from the first expansion, the Nemedian Chronicles, and it adds in another deck of cards that you can buy on your turn in the main phase, and they have a wide range of effects. So the way it works is you're going to have three of them face up here in the market, wherever you want to put your Bazaar cards. And similar to how you have three face up adventures and three face up encounters. And a Bazaar card will cost you 1 gold. You can't play it on the turn that you buy it. But you can buy one of the face-up ones or one off the top of the deck. But one of the things I want to point out to you is these purple ones here that don't have any icons in the corners. It can be played by anybody. But as you can see, we have Arrived Too Late and Perilous Journey that are only playable by the ally and by the foe. And there's a couple others in here that similarly will have some kind of restriction, like there's one that only Conan can play. There you go, Get Away Clean. So that's got Conan's character symbol, and it's got an orange background here to help you to figure that out. So that's your general idea about foe only on that one. So if you do buy a let's say that Conan buys this one off the top of the deck, and he's like, well, crud, I can't play that card. And any cards, any of these cards that you buy, they go into a hand. So this is the only time you're going to have a hand of cards. But if you buy it off the top of the deck, nobody knows what you have. But as a trade action, if you use your character to deploy to trade, or if you've got a trade fate token, you can change your die. As a trade action, you can trade a card from your hand for one of the ones off of the one of the face-up ones, or discard it to draw off the top of the deck. So that is normally you're only trading fate tokens for fate tokens, but this is a new way to use that trade action.
Yeah, but Bazaars are probably my personal favorite variant in the entire game. I think they kind of started off as like very little, a small deck of like I think a dozen cards at most, and then we said, well, why? I really wish I wanted to be able to do this particular thing on my turn, and then we made a card for it because that's the entire reason they exist. They let you do small things that otherwise you would not be able to do, either because you didn't roll correctly or some effects are completely not available to do to you at all. And they are varying degrees of strength. Some are relatively minor, some can be really, really powerful. But as always, the gods look on you and kind of laugh. So you are kind of left to how lucky you get, either with the draw of the deck itself or with the market and display that is available. But they are cheap. They are only 1 gold each. You can only buy one per turn, and unless I'm mistaken, you cannot play it the same turn you buy it. Because
Correct.
that led to a few broken
Some
interactions.
absurd actions, but
Yeah.
it does. It lets you add in a lot of really interesting, unique
Yeah.
effects, and it
You
also
don't
gave
have
us a
a hand
chance to.
limit.
Yeah, there's no hand limit, so you can have as many of them as you want. It let us, use more and more art. So in some cases, I found a picture and I was like, I got to make a card out of this. And in some cases, we'd be playing along and somebody was like, oh, yeah. It's like you said, I wish I could do this right now. And well, that sounds like a pretty good Bazaar card. So let's throw that in there. Now, the other thing you'll notice along all of these cards, it's not on every card. So like Perilous Journey doesn't have it. But you have this band with a fate token. And that means that when you play this card for its primary effect here, you can, if you have the fate token at the time, spend it for this other effect. So In some cases, it's just an additional thing that you can do. In some cases, it enhances the action that you were planning to do. So, waiting to play a card until maybe you've picked up the corresponding fate token will sometimes be a matter. Sometimes you'll be like, oh, I've got this fate token. You know what? I'm going to buy that card. Whereas before you're like, I probably don't need to do that. But just because you're like, yeah, I'm getting two effects at the same time, which it can be very nice. And it's good to get with any kind of dice game, any effects that can help to mitigate the frustration that you can feel in a dice game when you've rolled your dice and you didn't get anything you needed, or you got stuff you're like, oh, I don't want to do any of these actions, or I really, I was so close, and this was just another way that we could help to give you that change of fortune. Some of these are pretty situational, but it gives you an opportunity to consider, like, all right, maybe I get myself into that situation, because like in the main phase, there often are several things you could do, and so having a Bazaar card, or seeing a Bazaar card and knowing, all right, if I buy that, then on my next turn I could do this instead. And like with many things, Conan is going to be the last one in the turn order to buy a Bazaar card. So he knows, if stuff comes up that only he can buy, that's, he's very happy to see that. This is a tough draw right here. If these are your three cards, this is the only one that Conan can play. But re-roll your active dice on your turn during the main phase. So that's actually pretty good. And you can wait. You don't have to do this it doesn't say do it at the beginning of the phase. So you might have taken two actions that you knew that you wanted to do, and then you maybe have 2 or 3 dice left over. Then you play inner strength, so you can re-roll those dice. And then if you've got a kingdom thing, it lets you spend a fate token. It has a die. That means you're doing an action, just like you had rolled that symbol. So that is, that's a pretty handy thing to be able to do. Here the ally or the foe can get 2 more gold, steal a fate token from Conan. You're like, oh, that's just too good to pass up if you're the foe. So I like that it really changes up some of your considerations in that main phase, where you might be like, all right, yeah, I'm Conan. I'm about advancing on some achievements and getting to that adventure kingdom. But then maybe you're like, all right, I've got a few other things that I could think about doing depending on what you have drawn. Oh, you're searching through that deck. So that's why I can't draw anything. I was like, what's going on? Why isn't that working?
Yeah, I am searching. Yeah.
Well, there's some.
I want. Yeah, there are a few there. Yeah, here as well.
Yeah, local kingdom die as one of your dice.
But, yeah, I wanted to point out a couple of examples of personal favorites, like playing as the foe, seeing this. I kind of start playing in a different way. Temples of Set can only be played by the foe and gains 2 points for each Temple of Set face up on the map.
Yeah.
So it already, generally, I want to use my Bazaar cards because I paid for them. So kind of trading them away is 2 actions for one thing that seems like a waste. And you don't have to immediately play it either, so you can just wait. You can play the long game. If you get this card turn 1 or 2, you have still plenty of time to set up a few Temples of Set around, and then maybe those 6 or 8 points you get from this card can be the ones that win you the game. And especially the foe cards, which can be really, really powerful, like the gaining 2 challenge tokens, that is not the bottom, placing 1 and getting 1 gold, or placing both, or if you have a sorcery, which you probably do, you get to place both and gain 2 gold. The foe cards are really, really interesting, especially if you're playing with the other expansion 1 variant, the Rogues Gallery, in which maybe you drew a Bazaar card that you can't play or can't really make much use of, but then next turn you change your character. You are no longer Conan and you start playing the foe. Suddenly all of these other situations and things that other players have done on the board, challenge tokens placed, Temples of Set, the gold you have, fate tokens you have, all add a new extra layer of decisions. Because if I see this, I'm more inclined to change who I'm playing to the foe than to Conan, for example, because I see two very good Bazaar cards up for grabs, and maybe I even buy one to deny it to the current foe, already thinking ahead and saying, well, I know I want to play this soon, so I'm trying to work in that direction as well. And
Exactly.
a lot of these, the ally only ones are rare. I think there's this, and that's it, I think. The other are all ally and foe. They are harder to work towards, but they can also be really, really powerful.
Yeah,
Because
what's
like
interesting, because
this
you
is good.
alluded to this, if let's say that you're Conan and this card comes up, you can absolutely buy this card just to keep the foe from buying it, even if you're not using the
Yeah.
Crom God token and you're never going to be switching. Because again, you can later do a trade where you do a trade action to get rid of that and get something off the top of the deck instead. But knowing, so like if you have the foe buys this card and then this is the replenishment and then Conan is going to be going after and the foe is like, oh, but that's the trade-off is Conan is like, I've been saving up my gold to buy an extra die because my dice cost 3 and
Really expensive. Yeah.
I've got 3, but do I give up one of my gold so that I can buy this card that I know I can't play just because maybe there are a couple of, like in this one, maybe there are a couple of Temple of Set tokens on the board and you can see that the foe has the sorcery fate token. So you're like, oh, do I really want them to get, 2, 4, 6, 8, however many points just by playing this card?
Yeah.
And I don't. Maybe they'll do a sorcery action to maybe try to get another Temple of Set out of the, the
Yeah.
challenge tokens, and like, well, that one wasn't, but they might have a pool of tokens. So you're like, it's for me it's probably better to spend that gold, get that card out of circulation. So yeah, I really like the Bazaar deck as well because I like again giving the players more opportunities to make some interesting decisions about what to do on their turn.
I also want to point out that if you just want to get rid of a card and you don't want to spend the gold on it, you can easily cycle it. There are effects that allow you to cycle certain cards, and if it doesn't describe or specify the exact deck that you need to cycle, the Bazaar cards that are on display are absolutely available. So if you see that the foe is eyeing in Temple of Set, you say, well, no, no thanks, and we just change it. And look, now you get something that you are actually maybe want to get.
Exactly.
This card is actually really, really good, especially for Conan.
Yeah.
Advancing on Thief for free is pretty sweet, or rather early, that maybe gets you something juicy. And it's the Bazaar deck is simple because it really doesn't add a lot of overhead. It requires you to know the deck a little, at least what's inside of it. And I don't remember if we settled on are the cards you hold public or not. I don't think they are, but
No,
I
they're
don't
not.
remember what we
So,
decided. No,
I
they're
mean,
not. Okay.
people can see that when you buy a face up card, they're like, all right, I know he's
Yeah.
got that. But, maybe we like, well, we still want to unlock encounters to force Conan to at least play this card so that
Mhm.
he doesn't have it anymore. Especially if you can do it before he picks up a Thief Fate token to get that extra perk when he plays it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does. It creates some interesting new situations and can maybe save your bacon in a tough spot. Where here, like Conan, is like, well, I've got the getaway clean. So, he's like, I'm going to go to the adventure that has the absolute worst encounter because I know that I can avoid it. So,
Mhm.
and then, because maybe he wouldn't have done that adventure, but he's like, yeah, I'm in a situation where this adventure is 3 points per die, so I'm going to go ahead and do it because I'm going to probably have a lot of dice, and maybe he has a lot of fate tokens as well. So I think, yeah, as you said, there's not a lot of extra brain power. You don't really need to know the deck that well
No,
because you
there's a
do benefit
general
from the
idea.
fact that you always have 3 face-up cards that you can see, and it's not like, all right, I got to know everything on here, but it's good to familiarize yourself with what is out there, and not just the cards that you can play. Because again, if you say like, oh, this is as the ally or Conan, you're like, maybe we don't want the foe to do this. Um, this one's not so terrible. It's like, all right, go ahead, do it. Just more challenge tokens, and maybe it won't be so bad. And maybe the foe will put down 2 really good challenge tokens, adjacent to their location. So you're like, all right, that wasn't so terrible. It could have been far worse, especially because we bought up the other one. But again, there's a good number of the Bazaar cards, so you have quite a nice array of effects. And you're probably not going to get through even half of the deck in the course of a game, unless you're picking up a lot of gold and you're just buying Bazaar cards
No
every
dice,
turn.
just
You're like, I don't care, I just want the cards. So because then you pick up a bunch of them and people forget what you can do, or you're just buying off the top of the deck and going, no one's going to know that I've got this crazy effect that I can throw down at some point. And they're like, why are they moving down there? There's no adventure. And you're like, oh no, now we know why they did that. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I feel like it adds a lot of interesting thematics to the game. All the kingdoms, a lot of them have got like a big market or a big bazaar, and so it's there's all these great stories of Conan is wandering around, and you buying useful stuff and gear, but also like, you got this mysterious book or whatever, this relic of whatever. So it's and we've got an interesting effect. It's one of the new challenge tokens that comes with that expansion is a Bazaar token, which when you reveal it, it stays face up on the board in that kingdom. And now anytime you enter that kingdom, and when you reveal the token, you get a free Bazaar card. So, and there it is. So that is a really interesting new effect. And this one is just get a Bazaar card when you want it. So when you get this token, you put it on your sheet, and you wait until you see something really good that you like, and then you say, yeah, I'm cashing this in to get that for free.
just watch out though, because that token on your card can be stolen in a duel.
Yes,
so.
watch out. You don't want to get into a duel and lose with any useful tokens on your character card. So yeah, that's why these challenge tokens are in this expansion, which has a little barrel. Any of the cards, like there's some plot cards and some other stuff. That's how you know which expansion it is in. Don't look at the numbering here, because again, I haven't scanned the final cards from my deck. It's a laborious process that I'm not ready to undertake. So this is still like the semi-final stuff which we used in the play testing, and I very lazily just used the same card, and but I did manually type in all this stuff. So yeah, I think I'm a little bit psychotic, but and then occasionally we do a video and we show off a card that is either does not have the right text yet, or like they're like, what is that card? I don't have that card. I'm like, well, that will occasionally happen. Before we even started this video, I found like several cards that are not in the deck, but I've added in. Because I can just every time I think of a new effect, I'm like, oh, I'm going to add that to my personal. I'll do a TTS, and then maybe one day Gale Force 9 will say like, yeah, we want to do some promos, or I'd love for them to offer some stuff in the like the Board Game Geek store for Conan as a nice little perk. Like, oh, this is great. Here's a few more Bazaar cards, or here's another character, or whatever. Because we designed a few other things that did not quite. We didn't get to those last group of stretch goals. So we unlocked a few of them, which was nice. But there are other things that were designed, and there was a group of 5 more. Bazaar cards was one of them. So I have them, but we'll share those at some point, but not yet, because Gale Force 9 might have plans for them. We don't know. But yeah, if you have a question about the Bazaar deck or any individual cards or some comments, this is it is an expansion thing, but I think once you understand the game, as soon as you feel like, I understand how to play this game, throw that Bazaar deck in right away. It's not hard to add in. It gives you a few more tools in the toolbox to accomplish your goals as you're playing, irrespective of which character you are undertaking. And we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that I don't know if I have a favorite card.
Ooh,
there's like a set of
that's
these where you can, you advance on warrior if not in the kingdom, and then there's nice secondary effects. So there's one for each achievement track. So I love to try to grab a hold of those, especially as Conan, so that I can rocket up that achievement track. I think there's a couple that have like a similar thing with the plot track, but
I think this has to be my favorite.
yeah,
Leverage
you
a
just
Kingdom.
just using one of these kingdom dice to do an
Yep.
action. So you're like, great, what did I roll? Well, here, it's just gold, so it's not really an action. But you're like, oh, really? I rolled a warrior. I'm going to use it to advance on a warrior. So
It,
just an
it can
extra
save
die.
up to 3 gold. Like it can save me up to 3 gold if I don't buy a die. I still get an extra action for
Yeah.
free. I don't
So
get to choose much what it is, but still.
yeah, and I do enjoy these that let you get out of some trouble. So this one lets you end an encounter or an adventure without any penalty. So the other characters will gain nothing. So with an encounter, if you are ending it, let's say that Conan didn't achieve it, and so the ally is about to roll and is probably going to be able to complete it for some points and other goodies, and then you're going to get wounded. You can be like, nope, or you can wait till you're like, oh no, we're going to do. Conan didn't choose one of the foe's dice when he could have, and then didn't get the results he needed. So the foe is about to score the only points and take the card. You can be like, no, this is not going to happen.
Mhm.
And then maybe if you've got a scry token, you're like, and I'm going to get 2 points. So that the other players are like, oh, Conan, you bastard.
Again, another. It's
Yeah.
there are a lot of effects that are really, really, really unique. Like move to any Scry kingdom, and they are usually not the most interesting kingdoms, but they neighbor a lot of really good ones.
Yeah.
So just mobility options, gold effects, achievements. The Bazaar cards have it all. I probably, if I can, will never play a game without them unless I'm teaching it. But even if I'm teaching it, I'm probably sneaking it in just because I just love
Yeah.
it that
I
much.
think I'm the same way. I'm just going to use it. And because again, I think I think even when we knew that before we knew how many expansions there were going to be, once we had the Bazaar deck in there, I was tempted to say like, yes, this is a base game thing, but I think Gale
Yeah.
Force 9 was like, no, cut this out, cut that out,
No.
put those in
Also,
expansions. So there was already a lot in that base game, and there still is, but
yeah.
yeah, it makes sense. I was like, oh, no, that's fine. It's hard to argue. Put it in there. That's my that's my weakness as a designer. I'm trying to include too much stuff all at once. But yeah, because I love expansions. So yeah, I'm already thinking about stuff. There's quite a bit of expansion stuff that has yet to surface. So hopefully one day we'll have a chance to release some more things. That is it for this one, everyone. Thanks for watching, and we will see you again soon.